So to compute the base factor, we have calculated the numerator here, t raised to n plus alpha into theta naught raised to alpha minus a raised to alpha. Check the brackets again, and the denominator is a raised to alpha into theta naught raised to n plus alpha minus t raised to n plus alpha. Check the brackets. So base factor is simply the ratio of these two. So let us see what is the base factor. Oh sorry, let us first run this. Okay, so extremely small, in fact very small. So now let us see what we had used. Theta naught, theta was 2 and theta naught was 3. So what we are doing is, because the h naught is theta greater than theta naught, so here the random sample is generated from a value which does not belong to script theta naught. So what we expected was rejecting the h naught. So because base factor is very small, so we are very strongly rejecting h naught. So we are taking the correct decision here based on this sample. So now let us see how the things change if we change this. So for example, if we go a bit closer to the boundary point, the boundary point is again theta greater than theta naught and theta less than theta naught. So here theta was less than theta naught, so we should have rejected h naught, which we did actually. Now let us see what will happen if I take 5. So we should not reject h naught if that is the case. So let us see what will be the base factor. See, notice the change in the prior and posterior PDFs also. Their supports are totally different. So this can happen. This is coming out to be negative, so there is a technical glitch here. This is because theta naught raised to n plus alpha will be smaller than t raised to n plus alpha. Here the value of t is 4.33 and theta naught, so n plus alpha will be 15.5. So this is what happens. So what I have done, what I have tried to do is, I have tried to generate a sample where h naught is true. So I took theta equal to 5, theta naught is equal to 3. So theta is larger than theta naught. So now let us compute it again. The numerator is t raised to n plus alpha. So let us look at the numerator first. Oh, really large. So what will be the prior probability then? In fact, what we can do is, instead of computing the numerator and denominator like this, here we are forgetting one fact, that is uh, prior probability should be computed only for those values for which theta is greater than a. Similarly, the posterior probability, this expression is valid only when theta is greater than t. So otherwise the posterior probability will be 0. So what we can do is, we can simply compute the CDF. So PA CDF, similar to this, we can write a function to compute the PA CDF. So PA CDF suppose is computed at point Z. So the posterior CDF or posterior survival function you can compute. So it will be if Z is greater than T, then it will return the term which is 1 minus T upon Z whole raised to n plus alpha. This will be the value of the CDF, posterior CDF, and if Z is less than or equal to T, it will return 0. Okay, so similarly the prior CDF also can be written as a function of Z like this. because base factor cannot be negative, because it's a ratio of posterior odds, and posterior odds and prior odds are nothing but the ratios of probabilities, so they can't be negative. So the answer which we got here is wrong. So let us try to rectify it. So if Z is greater than A, the way we have done here, we can simply copy and paste and change the values. That's it. So let us do that. So what do we get? So instead of t, now I'll have A by theta whole raised to alpha. This will be the Z greater than A, and if Z is less than or equal to A, it should return 0. Okay, now the numerator will be simply, let us try to correct it, or let us say PS odds, posterior odds will be PS CDF 1 minus PS CDF. That means probability that theta greater than theta naught given x. So that will be 1 minus CDF at point theta naught, okay, upon posterior probability of H1, that is PS CDF at point theta naught. Okay, so this should be the posterior odds. So let us check whether we get the correct values or not. Oh, I am sorry, this should be first is posterior, the second is prior. Correct. Now, so let us check prior CDF at point say A, because theta should be greater than A according to the prior. So A plus 0.1. Why is it not working? Let us check the value of A. It is 1. So suppose I take Z is equal to A plus 0.1. So Z is 1.1. So if Z is greater than A, so is Z greater than A? So true, means this term should work here. Okay, we did not write return term. That's why nothing was happening here. So this is how the program should be rectified. So here also we should write return term. Okay, now let us run the functions again and let us check whether it is working. So fine. And now PS CDF at point t plus 0.1. So let us see if the right limit of this CDF is 1 or not. So PR CDF at point say 10. So okay, it is increasing, and PS CDF also at the same point say 10. Okay, very large. Okay, now let us compute the posterior odds. So let us look at the values. PS odds, oh, infinity, because PS CDF at theta naught must be very small, extremely small. That's why it is returning as infinity. It's a computational limitation of R that it is giving this value to be extremely closer to 0. See, oh sorry, it is 0 itself. Why this is so? Because the posterior CDF starts from the point T, and here theta naught is less than T. That is why we are getting this error. So the posterior probability of H1 we are getting to be 0 because of the way we have chosen theta naught and theta 1. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to change the value of theta naught here. So because theta naught we got to be lesser than T, so we are getting this issue. So if I change it to say 4.5 without changing the sample. I am not changing the sample, I am changing only the value of theta naught. Now let us see what do we get. See, what is the meaning of getting posterior probability of H1 to be equal to 0? If that is the case, then you are not going to, there is no question of H1. A posteriori, if a particular hypothesis is carrying 0 probability, it means that hypothesis is out of question. Then what remains is only the other hypothesis, which is H naught. So if this is what happens, then you should declare that H naught is accepted. Okay, so if this doesn't happen, so now I have purposely changed the value of theta naught here. Okay, so now the posterior odds I have computed. Now let us compute the prior odds. So just the same. Now let us compute them. 0.89. Okay, now base factor is simply posterior odds upon prior odds. So 1.45. So if you take 1 as the cutoff, then base factor is larger than 1. So you are going to accept H naught. You are not going to reject it. But if you consider the second range of cutoffs which I have specified in the lecture notes which I have shared with you, then base factor is less than 3. So you are very strongly rejecting H naught. So should you be rejecting H naught? So what was the value of theta naught? Let us go back. Theta is 5, theta naught is 4.5, H naught is theta greater than theta naught. So that is not the case, theta greater than theta naught. So yes, H naught is true. So you should not be rejecting H naught here. You should be accepting it. But notice that theta naught and theta are very close to each other. So it is likely that you take a wrong decision in such cases. So what can be done is increase the sample size to take a better decision, or there are certain test procedures called as locally most powerful test procedures which are adopted in such cases. So that term you can Google, take it as an exercise. So let us stop here.